as long as the lemon trees grow. Chapter 36. Usually my neighborhood exists in a repetitive limbo. The wind carries the children's tentative laughter and cries through the despondent ruins. Hope colors the conversations of the protesters passing by my door, their footsteps echoing over the gravel. A father consoles his daughter, passing his share of food to her. Jasmine flowers unfold their petals toward the sun. They bloom on soil soaked with martyrs' blood. For while we live. Then when the planes roar through the clouds, the pebbles on the sidewalk tremble. And we stop living and start surviving. Today is no different. But today I say goodbye to myself. My old self. Keenan and his siblings are already by the front door, their faces grave. We're meeting AM in 30 minutes. As I stand in my bedroom's doorway, a rush of nostalgia runs through me. Miserable and empty as it looks, this was my home. For a while. It won't stay empty for long. A family who has lost their own home might take refuge in it, or if the military finally invades old homes, they'll ransack the place. I try not to think of that. I trail through to the living room and hover in the entrance, casting one last long look at Layla's painting. Suspended in the shade, the waves look alive, licking the frame's edges, and a story awakens in my mind. Let's go, I say, turning on my heel before my courage fails me. We shuffle out, backpacks filled with all we own in the world, and I close the door behind me. Goodbye, I whisper and press a kiss to the blue wood. Keenan's hand slides into mine. We'll come back. I nod. Lama is between Yusuf and Keenan, and together we walk, the birds singing a sweet farewell melody. Khalid Mosque is 10 minutes away. We take the second fork in the road that leads away from the hospital, and while we walk I try to memorize each flowering tree and abandoned building we pass. Every now and then I glimpse the revolution's flag spray painted over the metallic columns of a garage or wall. The quiet of these last fragile moments is only broken by the crowds standing outside the grocery and the Free Syrian Army soldiers walking about. Their presence calms me, and I send a quick prayer for their hands not to waver, for their love for this land and her people to haul them to victory. Khalid Mosque is in the middle of a wide clearing of half-collapsed apartment buildings. We step carefully over cracked asphalt and loose, dead electrical wires. Up close, the mosque's walls are scratched and the dusty windows splintered, as are the steps leading up to the front door. It's slightly open, revealing debris coating the dark green rug upon which a few men are in various positions of prayer. What's the time? Keenan asks. Yusuf and Lama sit with their legs hanging over the steps. Yusuf whispers something to her and she leans closer to hear before nodding. 15 more minutes, I reply, my nerves tingling, and I focus on Keenan's face, counting the bruises decorating his skin. There are about 7 in total, and his contused eye has taken on a plum shade. His shoulders are slumped but his gaze is flitting everywhere, committing the sky's blue to his memory. Keenan. I take his hand, drawing him closer. He looks forlorn, heartbreak written all over his face. I haven't the slightest idea what to say to ease his sorrow. It's the same grief tearing through me, so I wrap an arm around him and tuck my head under his chin. Syria lives in our hearts, I whisper. She always will. He hugs me, pressing a kiss to the top of my hijab. We stay like this, swaying and staring at our city. The 15 minutes trickle by. People walk in and out of the mosque, and with each extra minute my anxiety rises. What if AM doesn't show up? What if something's happened to him? If he doesn't come, all 4 of us might as well dig our own graves right here. But my paranoia subsides when I hear the faint sound of a car approaching along the road. It's an old gray Toyota, its sides streaked with mud and the windshield in need of a wash. Even from this distance I can see it's AM sitting behind the wheel. He skids in front of us, stopping short. Get in. A cigarette hangs from his lips. We're on a tight schedule and we're 5 minutes late. You mean you're 5 minutes late? I retort, folding my arms. He glares. Do you want to chat or do you want to leave? Get in the back and... He stops, counting us, and frowns. Where's Layla? My eyes burn and I fight the hollowness in my stomach, looking away. Am's expression turns grave. So that's one less payment, he says, and even though his tone isn't the slightest bit malicious, the urge to punch him rises in me. Keenan's hand weighs on my shoulder and he nods at me. I open the door tentatively and Yusuf slides in first, then Lama and Keenan. I get in and Lama shifts to sit on Keenan's lap. We leave the front seat empty, wanting to be close to one another. AM reverses the car, his eyes reflected in the rearview mirror. He drives onto the road, and as I glance out the window, my body begins to tremble with anticipation and sadness. We pass through narrow streets, edging nearer to the Free Syrian Army's borders. You get those bruises when the military breached the hospital? Em asks Kenan, eyeing him in the mirror. Yes, Kenan answers. His voice is still stricken with guilt. Are they going to be a problem for us? I ask, wrapping my hand around his, anchoring him to me. Em steers with one hand, the other tapping out ash from his cigarette. It would have been better if he didn't have them, but the guards won't cause us any problems as long as I give them the money. First border coming up in a few minutes. My muscles clench, my heart hammering fast, and I glance at Kenan and see the same fear in his eyes. Even if AM has never been stopped before, it doesn't mean that won't happen today. Minds and hearts can change. The soldiers he's struck a deal with might have gotten bored of their arrangement. We finally make it out of Old Homs, passing a tank along the way that's decorated with the revolution flag. Just a bit ahead, the military border comes into view. I recognize it by the swarming soldiers and the line of cars packed right behind one another. The closer we get, the louder the voices become, and I hear shouting. I turn my head slowly to see, scared the very motion will alert them to us. Am swerves to the far end, and from my window I see 3 soldiers kicking a man sprawled on the ground. Each blow makes me jump, and Kenan's hand tightens around mine. Don't look, he whispers, and I tear my eyes away, drilling holes into my knees. I can still hear the man howling in pain and my throat closes up. God, please. If we don't make it through, then don't let them take us, I pray hard. Please let them kill us. Am stops in front of a soldier wearing a pair of dark-tinted army glasses. His black hair is slicked back and he looks bored. Am rolls down the window and says, "Morning. How's it going?" "All right," the soldier replies before tilting his head to the side to inspect us in the back. I feel the touch of his stare and glue my eyes back to my knees. I'm too scared to glance at Kenan and his siblings to see if they're doing the same. "Roll down the back window," the soldier says, and M laughs nervously. "Is that necessary?" "We roll it," the soldier snaps. The window protests as AM slides it down. My heart's in my throat. The soldier rests both his arms on the window's edge. I'm aware of his rifle tapping against the car's roof, and the cut on my neck begins to burn. "Where are you headed?" he asks, and we all freeze. I clear my throat, and before I can say anything he says, "Look at me when I'm talking to you." His voice is quiet, but there's no mistaking the lethality in it. I turn toward him heavily. "Tartus," I say, and my voice breaks. His mouth quirks upward, amused. "Tartus? What will you be doing there?" He's toying with me like a cat playing with a mouse. He studies the bead of sweat making a path down my cheek. "Visiting family," I lie, hoping he can't hear it in my voice. He grins, all teeth and no warmth. "Family." He says it teasingly as if he and I are in on a secret. His eyes bore into mine and he waits for me to squirm. But I resist. At long last he nods at Kenan and asks, "What happened to you?" I close my eyes briefly. "Please let them kill us." Kenan tilts his head, trying to muster any ounce of pride. I squeeze his hand, begging him silently to let this slide. "I was jumped," he replies in a forced polite tone. "They got you good, didn't they?" the soldier asks. Kenan's jaw flexes. "Yes." "You sure it wasn't because you were protesting and got what you deserved?" the soldier says offhandedly, and horror almost stops my heart. Yusuf and Lama become statues. Even AM jolts upright before twisting in his seat. "I wouldn't have criminals in my car," he says as if the very idea offends him. Kenan's face betrays nothing, but I can feel how tense he is. "Yes. How about I search through your things to make sure none of you are a threat to this country?" the soldier asks. "We're carrying nothing that would incriminate us, but it won't matter to him. If he wanted, he could pass the lemons off as bombs. Claim the USB stick containing my family photos is filled with classified information. But I know what the soldier is doing. Torture isn't only physical. My hands tremble as I hold up my bag, and I resign myself to this fate. I'll never see the Mediterranean Sea. He snatches it and unzips it, then shakes it out violently, everything inside crashing and rolling away. Thankfully my passport, school certificate, and gold are hidden in the small pocket. He makes no comment on the strangeness of what I've packed for visiting family. He knows where we're actually headed. "All clear," he says lazily, dropping the bag on the ground. Get your shit. I throw Keenan a glance before opening the door and bending down to collect my discarded belongings. Humiliation burns through me. My jeans are smeared with dirt and sharp pebbles prick my hands. One lemon has tumbled under the car. After grabbing it, I straighten up, pushing down the hatred in my eyes. The soldier rests one arm over the open door, his eyes roaming me from head to toe. Revulsion threatens to choke me. I tentatively sit back down and he slams the door so forcefully we all jump. Give me the money, he says to him, and needn't be told twice. The soldier counts the bills, satisfied, and tucks them in his breast pocket. He reaches through my opened window and lightly tugs at the end of my hijab. It slips a bit, my bangs falling out. You'd be prettier without it. He smiles, cocking his head to the side, expecting an answer. And from the way Keenan moves, I know he's at his boiling point, about to do something reckless, and I have to intervene. Thank you, I manage, wanting nothing more than to claw the guard's eyes out. Have fun with your family, the soldier says and slaps the back of the car. Bam steps on the gas and the tires screech, dust billowing behind as we race off. Once we're far enough away, we let out a collective breath and I shudder, tucking my bangs in. Are you okay? Keenan immediately asks me and I nod, eyes closed, before resting my head on his shoulder and linking my arm through his. I'm fine, I whisper. Nothing matters as long as we get out. That was a close one. Am fumbles in his pocket, takes out another crumpled cigarette. How many boarders are left? I ask, breathing in Keenan's lemon scent. 15 to 20. Keenan takes in a sharp breath and I groan. Don't worry. That one is usually the toughest because it's the first after leaving Homs. The rest are closer to one another and they're a bit more lenient. I almost snort at the unconvincing tone he's used and roll the window up, not wanting to risk a cold. How come you've never tried to get out? I ask AM bluntly. None of your business. I glare at him in the small mirror and he glares back. I make good money here, okay? The refugee business is booming. I give him a disgusted look. Whatever, he mutters, knowing exactly what's going through my mind. You can call me whatever you want, but it's the truth. The more borders we pass, the more anxious we get. At one, we're made to wait for 2 hours. At another, M gets patted down and I'm harassed. Later, Keenan gets mocked and insulted. And at the last one, a soldier heavily implies that he's going to take Lama away. Only her. She's pretty for a girl so young. The soldier leers and Keenan's face turns as white as a sheet. Lama wedges herself against Keenan, her thin arms shivering. AM manages to distract the soldier with a few questions about the Syrian economy. Eventually he lets us go and AM peers at Lama from the rearview mirror. You all right? He asks her. Lama curls into Keenan's lap to hug him. Tremors run along him as he holds her like his life depends on it. There's pity in AM's eyes. Lama is about the same age as Samar. After that last checkpoint, it takes us an hour of driving nonstop to finally reach Tartus. With the front window cracked a bit, we smell the sea before we see it. The Mediterranean Sea. Just on the other side, safety, not freedom. I'm leaving freedom behind and I can feel the earth's grief when I get out of the car. The tired weeds try to encircle my ankles, begging me to stay. They murmur stories about my ancestors. The ones who stood right where I stand. The ones whose discoveries and civilization encompassed the whole world. The ones whose blood runs through my veins. My footprints sink deep into the soil where theirs have long since been washed away. They plead with me, it's your country. This earth belongs to me and my children. I take a few steps toward the sea, breathing in its salty cold air, feeling it cleanse me. The Mediterranean is angry today. A storm brews under his restless waves. I see him rumble and twist within himself. I hear the remnants of those before me walking along the sand, throwing stones into his depth, trying to make sense of what has been happening for more than 50 years. The boat is right over there, M calls out and I look. If I'd had any expectations I might have fallen over right then and there. Calling it a boat would be generous. Once upon a time it must have been white. Now it's dirty and battered with rusty brown scratches hiding its true color. It floats innocently a bit beyond the shore. I'm not an expert but I already see at least 10 red flags. The huge number of people already on it being one. A baby starts crying and another joins in. One wrong move I imagine and it'll tip over. Made it just in time too. AM opens the trunk of his car and takes out 4 life jackets identical to the ones the people on the boat are wearing. Orange so we can be seen. He tosses them to the kids. What the hell is this, Em? I ask when I find my voice. Keenan stands very still, his eyes never leaving the boat. What? He straps Lama securely into her life jacket. What do you mean, what? I spit out. This is a goddamn fishing boat, isn't it? Yeah. I'm pretty sure fishing boats can't carry a small village. There are way more people than there should be. You expected a cruise ship? He whips around and throws my life jacket at me. I catch it deftly. I'm sorry we couldn't get one to your standards, Your Highness. You know exactly what I mean. That boat is a ticking time bomb. You'll make it, he says firmly. You're not the first boat we've sent off. That one has made the trip countless times. I look at Keenan helplessly. What do we do? Behind him the mountains of Tartus stand strong. And behind them, hell. And I realize death. If we stay we die, Keenan says in a low tone. And if we leave we might die. We can't stay. There's no guarantee we'd even make it back to Homs. I'd rather drown. The boat will leave without you, says. I take one look at my life jacket before strapping it on, and then help Keenan adjust his. He presses his forehead against mine, his hand on the back of my neck. Have faith, my love, he whispers. I clasp his wrist, nodding. Keenan's eyes fill up with tears as he casts them to Tartus's mountains. We're ready. I turn to AM, sniffing loudly. The money and gold, he says. I take them out and drop them in his hand. He counts the money in a low voice, examines the necklace and ring, then tucks the money into his wallet and the gold in his pockets. All right, go. He shoos us toward the boat. We just get on it? I ask. Yeah. He climbs into his car and starts the engine. The captain of the ship saw me and you're not going back with me, so he knows you paid. Go. I try not to show how nervous I feel. This seems too easy. When we don't move, M sighs loudly and murmurs a prayer to God to give him patience. Salama, trust me. I promise you on my daughter's life this boat will take you to Europe. Go. If there's anything I'll trust coming from AM, it's that he loves his daughter. Of course there wouldn't have been a daughter to swear on if you'd let her die. God forbid they let you work again, he mumbles, but I hear him. I close my eyes, taking in a deep breath. I whirl around, marching right up to him. He pauses. I know I nearly destroyed your life with what I did, I say. But you demanded I bleed myself dry. You're not a saint. And neither am I. But at least I feel remorse. I walk away, not wanting to hear his reply. After a second the engine starts and he drives away. Let's go, I say to Keenan, Yusuf and Lama. Keenan brushes a hand over his eyes, turning away from the mountains. Away from Layla's grave. From Mama and Baba. From Hamza. I take Lama's hand and Keenan takes Yusuf's. We wade through the waves that crash against our knees, trying to push us back, warning us. But we don't listen. We refuse to listen. As long as the lemon trees grow. Chapter 37. The nearer we get to the boat, the more it seems that people are spilling from its edges. The person in charge, the captain I presume, greets us gruffly and helps Yusuf and Lama get on. The faces that greet us as we clumsily make our way on board and try to find room to sit are starved, cold, empty. They huff in annoyance at more people crowding the already overfull boat. We find a small empty space and quickly sit down and lean against the boat's side. My limbs sag with relief, my teeth chattering as I huddle closer to Keenan. He wraps his arm around my shoulders and hugs me closer. Our jeans and coats are wet up to our knees. Lama clings to Yusuf, her body shivering. Her own coat won't dry anytime soon, so I take out a sweater and throw it to Yusuf, praying we don't die from hypothermia. Put it around her. It's not much, but it'll do something. Thank you, Yusuf whispers. The sky is gray, matching the sea, and if it wasn't such a dire situation I'd have enjoyed this weather. I wouldn't be malnourished. Instead I'd be covered in coats and scarves with a piping cup of tea in my hands. My eyes wander to the other people traveling with us. There are more children than adults. My heart jolts when I spot a pregnant woman, and I look away before she catches me staring. Keenan groans quietly, and I for one sick moment am happy for the distraction. What's wrong? I ask, twisting to look at him. I'm fine. He closes his eyes, breathing in deeply. I hope the concussion is letting go of its hold on him. Can you give me Panadol? Yes. I quickly go through my bag and take out one tablet, pass it to him discreetly. He immediately pops it in his mouth, swallowing with no water. The exhaustion from moving the heavy debris after being kicked and beaten and not having enough sleep is catching up to him. Not to mention our wet clothes aren't helping. Keenan catches my worried expression and smiles, pulling me against him and our shivering lessons. I'm fine. Don't worry. Dr. Ziad checked me. He gestures at his face, which is still swollen and bruised. They're just annoying bruises. Do you feel nauseous? A headache? I take out my phone and shine the light in his eyes. They react normally. No, Dr. Salama, he says like a dutiful patient. I just want to sit here with my wife. He rubs his hand over my arm. You're cold. I relent. He really is just tired. A bit, I admit, happy he's holding me. Do you want me to tell you something good? Yes, please. I have a new story idea. I look up at him and there's a twinkle in his eyes. The tension lessens in his brows. Tell me. It came to me before we left home. When I was looking at Layla's painting. It's a beautiful painting. I pat his cheek and he leans against my palm. It's a story about a little girl who stumbles on magical portraits that take her to alternate universes. But to cross through, she has to sacrifice something valuable. He stays silent for a few seconds and then softly says, I don't want to illustrate this. I want to animate it. I smile. Another collaboration? It would be my honor to work with the genius herself again. Praise me some more and you have a deal. He laughs lightly and I'm glad to be able to draw his mind away from the terror of the drive here. Salama, love of my life. My sky, my sun, my moon and my stars, would you grant this mortal wish of mine? I pretend to think about it while my ears burn. Okay, fine. We're leaving now, the captain calls and we fall back to reality. The whispering disappears and as if in unison, all of us look back at the shore. The boat starts to rock away gently, the waves lapping against its body, trying to find holes through which to enter. I know how to swim. Baba taught me in Hamza. Keenan told me he and his siblings do too. But I don't want us to test our strengths against the seas. Not today. For once the humming in my brain stops, and I don't hear anything but the sea and the morning of my country. I raise my head to get a good long look at Syria. My eyes wander on the shore, desperately trying to memorize its features before it disappears. And just there I see a girl about 8 laughing, running along the beach, her pink dress looking so out of place. Her curly brown hair falls below her shoulders and when she looks toward me she grins. I know that face and the missing front tooth because I have photos of me looking like that. 10 years will do a lot to the cheeky twinkle in that girl's eyes. 10 years will teach her how to survive. It'll wedge Syria's soil under her fingernails. Despite being a pharmacist, she'll know some wounds will never heal. I blink and she disappears. A song begins. One of the revolution's songs that compares Syria to heaven. Heaven. I listen as if it's the first time I've heard it. I take in the words and tattoo them on my heart. And I realize I'm not hallucinating the song. Everyone on the boat is singing. My throat becomes tight as the hoarse voices mingle with the wind, carrying our melody to the heavens. I can hear the tears fall down their cheeks and I can taste them in my mouth. They're as salty as the sea. Soon enough, my voice joins theirs and I sing through my own silent sobbing that drips, drips, drips to the boat's floorboards, sinking into the old wood. Even Yusuf sings, his voice bruised from underuse. By the end of it, we're all craning our necks back towards Syria as she vanishes slowly behind us. Keenan leans on my shoulder trying to get a better look and his tears drop on my hand. I look up at him and I realize we really are Syria now. Just like I told him. Our small family is all that's left to remember our country by. I hug him crying and he cries too. We don't blink. We don't look away until we can't see her anymore. As long as the lemon trees grow. Chapter 38. At first I don't notice how cold it has gotten. I blame it on the adrenaline swimming lazily in my blood, which perks up when Keenan brushes against me or I hear a loud wave crashing over the side. The other passengers are huddled beside one another, their faces wet with tears, each lost in their own agony. They rub their hands to try and conjure up some warmth. I'm relieved to see Lama is fine despite the bite of the cold. But Keenan worries me. His eyes droop, and his head nods like he's about to fall asleep. "Hey," I whisper, moving over a bit to create more space. "Sleep on my shoulder." He glances up and shakes his head, but when I grab the front of his sweater and guide him down, he offers no resistance. My bony shoulder is not much of a cushion, but at least my hijab is soft. "Salama," he whispers. "I'm Finn, shoo. We're one step closer to eating Naif. Dream about that." He sighs and it takes him all of 3 seconds to fall asleep. I pray the Panadol eases his pain. I look up to the sky, watching it slowly swap its colors for dark gray, signaling the end of my old life and the beginning of an unknown one. I distract myself by watching the clouds take their time dissipating after the sun, like handmaidens following their queen. The moon rises instead, throwing his haunting glow down onto the black water. The waves rock gently against the boat, their vibrations spreading through the metal until they reach my skin. People have started to drift off one by one. But my mind, despite being more drained than it has ever been, is wide awake. I can't stop watching the stars emerge through the darkness, and I realize that the last time I saw these constellations I was with Keenan in the abandoned ruins of my home. It's hard to believe it happened less than a week ago. Feels like years. Eons. I focus on the stars, connecting them with imaginary lines until I really see the silvery thread my mind is conjuring. Here. I look down to find him sitting on the edge of the boat, dangling his feet in the water, his back to me. "Quiet night," he remarks, and I shiver. He looks painfully beautiful in the moonlight's shadow. My heart jumps. "What are you doing here?" I frown. "Didn't you say you're bound to Syria?" He turns my way, swinging his legs inside. "So eager to get rid of me?" "I'm sorry, I didn't have time to mourn your absence, what with being terrified out of my mind the whole way here." I snap, even though my being here at all was only made possible by his influence. By my brain taking charge. He smiles. "Did you lie to me?" I ask. "Will he really keep his promise and leave me alone?" I shudder, thinking about waking up one random morning in Germany only to find him hovering at the foot of my bed. He shakes his head. "We're still in Syrian waters." I glare at him. "I won't be with you in Syracuse. I promise," he says with a laugh. I ponder his words. "That's not true," I whisper. "You're a part of me just as you're a part of everyone here." He gestures to the darkness. "And all those claimed by the sea. All those who have become bone and dust." He sighs. "It's true. I told you before when you asked me where I'd go. I'm everywhere. But I won't be there with you physically. Not like in Syria." I shiver. "Everywhere," I say, tasting the word on my tongue. The answer to his existence was there all along. I can see history woven between his irises. Everywhere. Since the beginning of time, I have awoken in people's hearts. I've been given many names in countless languages. In yours I'm cough. In English, fear. In German, angst. Humans have listened to my whispers, heeded my counsel, and tasted my power. I'm everywhere. In the breaths of a king executed by his people. In the last heartbeats of a soldier bleeding out alone. In the tears of a pregnant girl dying at her doorstep. I look away, wiping an arm over my eyes. "Layla. My sister." Cough says gently, "It wasn't your fault." "Then why does it feel like it was?" I whisper, letting my tears trickle down my cheeks. "Grief isn't constant. It wavers, tugging and letting go like the waves on the sea." He smiles sadly. "Because you're human. Because no matter what, you have a heart so soft it easily bruises. Because you feel." A low cry escapes me. "But it's not your fault," Cough continues. "Remember what Am said. If you're meant to be in Munich, you'll be there even if the whole world is against you. Because it's your fate. It wasn't Layla's. It wasn't your parents' or Hamza's either. Fate. A complex word that holds many doors leading to countless pathways in life, all controlled by our actions. And so, I hold on to my faith, in knowing that both Layla and I went above and beyond to survive. In knowing she's in heaven, alive with baby Salama. In knowing I'll see her Ayhala when it's my time. That I'll see Mama, Baba and Hamza. In my heart I know it's not my fault," I murmur, glancing up at the pearl-encrusted skies. "I'd give anything to hug Layla right now. But it's going to take a while for my mind to accept that. And it hurts. More than I can bear. I just miss her so much." "I know." Cough suddenly stands up and my heart jumps to see him balanced on the railing, whispers away from falling. But his posture is straight, perfectly balanced. You've grown this past. I clasp a hand over my mouth, laughing silently. Were you jealous? A faint smile pulls at his lips. Actually, I wanted to punch him for annoying you, but I didn't want you to think he bothered me. Or to remind you of him when he wasn't there. Ah, my hero. He grins. I try. I nestle closer and we finish up our lemon wedges. Tell me something good, Salama, he murmurs, pressing his head against mine. For the past year, I begin slowly. Syria was gray. The destroyed buildings and roads. The ashy faces of the starving. Sometimes the skies. Our life literally became monochrome, alternating with a harsh red. While some were able to see past it, I forgot other colors existed. I forgot happiness was a possibility. But when you showed me that sunset on your roof and I saw pink and purple and blue, it felt like I was seeing color for the first time. I glance at him and see his eyes glittering with emotion. Imagine what Germany will be like, I continue. Imagine painting our apartment blue like Layla's painting. And I was thinking we'd draw a map of Syria on one wall. I love it, Keenan says instantly. I love you. I smile, and in that moment I know Layla would be beaming, her eyes sparkling with happy tears, if she could see me like this. Stranded in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, the cold water trying to sneak under my clothes, and rather than letting my terror take the reins, I choose to focus on a future where I'm alive. Where I'm safe. I wake up with a jolt. How long was I asleep? The lemon's effect must have worn off because my stomach flips and nausea sours my blood. People's shapes dip in and out of my vision, and their voices are dim in my ears. I rub my eyes, groaning from the cramps, and when I open them again, everything tumbles sharply into place. It must be morning by now, but the sun is hidden behind thick clouds. Someone shakes me and I turn to Keenan. What? I ask groggily. A scream pierces the air and it wakes me from my stupor. Keenan grips my shoulder tightly and in a measured voice I don't recognize he says, Salama, the weather is bad. He suppresses a shiver and I crane my neck to study the sea. Aided by the wind, the waves are throwing themselves hard against the boat, rocking it and my heart as well. There's a lot of people. The boat isn't new. It can't handle all of us. We don't have time, he says calmly, but the terror is more than visible in his words. I don't understand. This boat has made the trip countless times. Bam promised. Keenan pulls me back. The bruise under his eye looks ink black. When the boat goes down you have to stay as close to me as you can, do you understand? He says firmly. Lama is crying and she isn't the only one. The screaming, pleading, and praying are deafening. I wonder whether the sounds have reached land. How far are we from Italy? I ask. The captain is trying to signal them right now, Keenan says. Even if they come, it'll be hours. We'll already be in the water. I press my hand against his forehead. Warm. The water's freezing. You're exhausted and maybe even feverish. If you go in, I don't know what it'll do to your system. He'll get hypothermia. My heart beats painfully against my chest. He shakes his head. We don't have a choice. Life rafts. Salama, this is a fishing boat. It isn't meant to survive more than a few hours offshore. There are no life rafts. I must be showing signs of distress because Keenan cups my cheek with one hand and draws me closer to him. Have faith, he whispers. We'll make it. Stay close to me and have faith. I nod, squeezing a few tears out. He straightens up and eyes his siblings who are so petrified they can't move. All right, you guys, he says, and I'm astounded at how calm he is. I need you to stick together, and once we're in the water, kick your legs just a little to stay up, okay? Your life jackets will do the rest. It's important you don't panic. Take deep breaths and Allah will be fine. Lama clings to Yusuf and they both nod. I strap my backpack inside my life jacket and my heart sinks. I know that when we go underwater my passport and certificate won't survive. The sky looks near, as if promising to drown us in its dark gray as well. Most of the people are already standing, so Keenan tells us to do the same. The boat tilts dangerously to the left and we lose our footing, stumbling to the floor. People scream. One mother is in hysterics, holding her baby to her chest, and I look away. I can't help anyone. My head sways with each motion the boat takes, and the water drenches us whole as the threat of tipping over increases. I grip Keenan's hand and Lama and Yusuf crowd against him as the boat lurches and other people push against us. We wait, not knowing what to do. Should we jump? Or stay on the boat until it goes down. Think, Salama, think. Suddenly one voice, cutting like glass, rings in my head, warning me not to jump. Don't do it, Cough's voice resounds in my mind. It's suicidal. You don't know what's waiting for you in the water. The boat is safer. The more people jump, the more likely it won't sink. Don't jump. I close my eyes and breathe through my nose, visualizing my daisies. Cough isn't here, but he lives in my head, always making me second-guess every decision. But that's no way to survive, no way to live. Kinan, I say. Tears begin streaming down my face. The end is near. We need to jump. When the boat goes down, it'll create a current we won't be able to swim against. He looks at me and nods solemnly. The waves lapping at the sides of the boat promise violence. Perhaps a bomb would have been the better choice. Suddenly, one man carrying his daughter jumps out of the boat and into the water. She clings to his back, sobbing, and he's using all of his energy to get away. It takes everyone exactly 5 seconds to follow suit. Keenan grasps my hand tightly. We both nod. Now, he says. As long as the lemon trees grow. Chapter 39. The cold reminds me of last December, when I came back from the hospital dripping with snow and sleet. Layla was on the couch wearing all her clothes. I had huddled up beside my hallucination and fallen asleep, thinking I was warming myself, but the cold just continued to coat my bones, forcing itself inside. But despite its familiarity, this cold doesn't lull me to sleep. Instead, it sends shockwave after shockwave through my body. I sink under the sea, opening my eyes to the dark blue-black that stretches on for miles. Fear grapples with me. My heart seizes, my trachea constricts, and my extremities are so cold they burn. Before I can scream, my life jacket shoots me out of the water. Mama, I cry without thinking. Mama, save me. I kick my legs in the water, the fear dissolving into hysteria. It chokes out of me in broken sobs when I remember there are sharks in the Mediterranean. Mama, I chant, holding on to that one word and letting it expand and wash over me. Mama. Mama. Please, please save me. Please. I can't do this anymore. At this moment I'm half crazed, kicking my legs to keep sharks at bay, as if it would be of any help against their razor teeth and soulless eyes. Every thought disappears. I'm forgetting my name and who I was with, who I'm supposed to be with. All I can think of is how I'm going to be dragged down. Salama. A voice cuts through the hysteria and I clumsily try to turn around, hot tears streaming down my cheeks. The cold sears right to my ribs. It hurts to breathe. Blurry figures become sharp and I see a bobbing person with terrified eyes. And just behind him is Lama. My heart resets. Yes. I can't lose myself. My family is here. Lama. And Keenan. Keenan. Where's he? Lama. Yusuf. The pressure of the water must have wrenched my hand out of Keenan's. All around, people are swimming, looking for their loved ones, and familiar screams rise on the frigid wind. My bag is still trapped under my life jacket. Where's Keenan? I don't know, Lama sobs. Keenan. Where are you? I shriek. God, please let him live. He's had enough. I swivel helplessly, my eyes jumping from one body to the next, but I only see strangers. We need to get away from the boat, I say. I look back and it's starting to sink. They nod and with effort try to swim after me. We keep looking, calling out for Keenan. I splash around, my life jacket making it impossible to easily move. I strain, searching the boat with my eyes, but there's no one. There. Lama screams, pointing at a floating figure. Both his arms are spread out like he's trying to embrace the sea, and his head droops to the side. I make my way to him and brush his hair out of his face to make sure it's him. Oh, thank God, I exclaim, hugging him close. He's here. It's him. Awkwardly, I try to check his pulse. It's weaker than I'd like. The shock of the water must have thrown him unconscious, and he can't stay like that for long. His face is ice cold. Is he okay? Yusuf asks, and I lift Keenan's head. His neck muscles are completely slack. He's unconscious, I say, and I hear the boat finally going below, but I can't care about that right now. Keenan. Wake up. After minutes of slapping his face and praying to God, his eyes flutter open, and he mumbles something incoherent. Hey, I say gently, grasping his cheeks and then grabbing one hand to see that his fingers have taken on a blue hue. Hey, he whispers. We're in the water. The boat just went down and you were unconscious. You can't fall asleep. Do you understand? Yes, he says foggily and grimaces from the cold. All right everyone, I call out, looping my hand under Keenan's life jacket. We need to head to where the others are and see if the captain made contact with the Italian Coast Guard. I'm cold, Lama sniffs. That's the other thing. I need you all to keep moving. Keep the blood flowing. Or else you'll fall asleep and that's not good. They mumble a yes and we swim slowly toward the cluster of floating survivors. One man is splashing desperately and screaming for his young son. We paddle beside bodies, either corpses or unconscious, I don't know and I can't stop to find out. Contact and told them but I don't know when they're coming, the captain is shouting to the frenzied crowd. We're far from shore. They'll take a while to reach us. Hours at least. The small flame of hope in everyone's eyes flickers like a dying candle. No one cares about a bunch of Syrian refugees stranded in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. We aren't the first or the last people to do this. So what if 100 or so meet their deaths? It'll make a nice headline to spur a small protest or donation campaign before we're forgotten again like foam on the sea. No one will remember our names. No one will know our story. Keenan, I falter. Don't sleep. He nods his head, but it's taking every ounce of energy he has to stay awake. I pull him close and try to encourage him to kick his legs. The life jacket is the only thing keeping him up and it's barely doing so. The clouds curdle even more until it feels like we're surrounded by sea and sky. Not a single ray reaches us. Lama. Keep on moving, I stutter an order. Help will come. I'm tired, Lama whines, half-heartedly shimmying in the water. Yusuf kicks his legs and arms for a minute before surrendering. No, I yell, pulling myself closer to them with Keenan's arm encircled in mine. Keep moving. Yusuf takes a hold of Lama's hands and starts shaking them, sending ripples along the water. We'll be fine, I babble, focusing on my words and not the hypothermia slowly shutting down each cell. Slowly killing me. I try not to think of the sharks. We'll be fine. Some people have already surrendered to the cold, their screaming and crying dying out, and I know without looking that the Mediterranean Sea has claimed them for his own. Lama, talk to me. I lick the salt from my lips and it burns my throat. It burns the cut on my neck. I'm okay. Her voice is barely audible. Yusuf. Yes, he whispers. I grab Keenan's shoulders and shake him and he starts. Keenan, don't you dare sleep. I won't, he says and coughs and kicks his legs for a bit. He brings his free hand behind my soaking hijab, pressing his forehead to mine. The waves have slowly inched Lama and Yusuf away from us and we move closer again, forming a circle holding hands. Good, I encourage. Now keep kicking. We create little froths on the sea's surface as the blood moves sluggishly in our veins. My clothes stick to my shivering body, my hijab slowly slips but still I keep kicking. Keenan, look at the colors, I say and he gazes at the horizon. There's nothing but gray sky and sea. Not like the gray in Homs. Gray like Layla's painting with blue scraped between the streaks. I try to see the other shades, but the gray seems lodged in my retinal arteries cells. I tear my eyes to my family, memorizing their faces. Remember how in Ramadan the streets would be lit up with lanterns, I stutter and they all look at me. Don't think about the cold. Remember how warm the bread used to be. Fresh from the bakery. Keenan joins in. Lama. Remember when we used to go to the country? To Jito's farmhouse and pick the apricots. How I'd climb up and toss them to you, Lama. Yusuf, remember when you found that pigeon's nest? Yusuf nods, teeth chattering. Each summer Layla and I would either stay at her grandparents' country house or mine, I whisper. We'd swim in the pool. We'd play with the chickens. We even rode horses. Her grandfather took us to a neighbor who raced them. I remember it so well. 15 years old and I'd just begun wearing my hijab. It fluttered in the wind as the horse galloped around the field with Layla on her own horse beside me. Our whoops of joy ringing over the horse's hooves. Keenan continues to encourage his siblings to move and talk, to remember the past and to hope for the future, where new memories wait for them. He turns to me and raises my hand and water droplets slip back into the sea. Salama will have that naif. His cheeks are wet and I know it's not just from the sea. His lips brush over my scarred knuckles. If not in Germany, then in heaven. I swallow my tears, nodding. We go back to talking, trying to focus on something that isn't the cold. We reminisce on our old life. visualizing our Syria and painting a description of one we'll never see. Assyria will never know. An endless bed of green covers the hills, where the Orontes carries life into the ground, growing daisies along his banks. Trees bear lemons golden as the sun, apples firm and sweet, and plums ripe and glittering like rubies. Their branches are low, coaxing us to pluck the fruit. Birds sing the song of life, their wings fluttering against an azure blue sky. The countryside slowly dissolves as pavement replaces grass and the sounds of people bustling around the market drown the occasional bird's chirps. Merchants are selling satin dresses, rich amethyst-purple Arabian rugs and precious crystal vases. Restaurants overflow with families and couples taking advantage of a beautiful sunny day, platters of barbecued meat and bowls of tabbouleh laid in front of them. The adhan rings loud from the minarets and people gather for prayer in the spacious, intricately designed mosques that have been standing there for centuries. Children run around our ancient ruins, reading the history of their ancestors woven between the limestone. They learn about the empires that once transformed their country into the beating heart of civilization. They visit the graves of our warriors, reciting Al-Fatiha for their souls and remembering their stories, keeping them alive in their memories. They take pride in their grandfathers and grandmothers, who laid down their lives so they could grow up in a land where the air is sweet with freedom. Caught in the haze of hypothermia, I dream of that Syria. A Syria whose soul isn't chained in iron, held captive by those who loved to hurt her and her children. A Syria Hamza fought and bled for. A Syria Kenan dreams about and illustrates. A Syria Layla wanted to raise her daughter in. A Syria I would have found love and life and adventure in. A Syria where, at the end of a long life, I'd return to the ground that raised me. A Syria that's my home. The day passes and I lose track of time. Darkness finally settles and I have no energy left and my lips stop moving. The cold has invaded every nerve. I don't know if Kenan has stopped talking as well or if I've lost the ability to hear. It takes everything in me to remember where I am and that I need to breathe. Somewhere in the distance, a glow of light suddenly appears. I blink, its harshness hurting my pupils. I blink again. Am I dead? As long as the lemon trees grow. Epilogue. A pale lilac blooms on the horizon as the sun slowly breaks through the darkness. September dawn in Toronto takes on many shades of the spectrum, but nowadays it seems to favor skipping from lilac to a bright blue while the stars quietly disappear. I'm on the balcony, bathing in the soft glow and gazing at the corner I've transformed into a small garden. Daisies, honeysuckle, peonies, lavender. I've grown them all myself, tending to their tiny roots and petals with care, murmuring words of love. You're so beautiful, I coo at a baby daisy shyly splaying out her petals against the scars on my hands. I'm so proud of you. A light breeze coaxes me to pull my blanket more tightly around my shoulders. Even though I'm in wool pajamas, the cold of the Mediterranean hasn't melted. Kenan and I have been in Toronto for 4 months, and I still haven't gotten used to the chill. It's so different from Berlin, but both have the same kind of quiet on a Saturday morning. One that's occasionally broken by the faint rumblings of a plane flying above. Took Kenan and me 2 years not to go sick with fear at those. And sometimes we still forget, the trauma coming back to us in the form of shaking hands and panic-filled eyes. There you are, Kenan says, shuffling outside with 2 mugs of steaming Zurat tea. I glance at him, smiling. He's become more resistant to the cold and is dressed only in simple pajama pants and a white t-shirt. His hair is disheveled from bed and his eyes are still traced with sleep. It took a while and a lot of hard work, but both of us are now a healthy weight. I eye his biceps, feeling my cheeks warm up as he hands me my mug. Thank you, I whisper, not wanting to disturb the peace. He sits beside me. I adjust the blanket so it's wrapped around us both and lay my head against his shoulder. You woke up early, he says quietly. Bad dream. There are times when the nightmares trickle through our sleep like belladonna's poison. They startle Kenan awake, he gasps for air, sweat running down his forehead. They fill his head with paranoia, convincing him that Lama and Yusuf are trapped in Homs or drowning in the Mediterranean. Only when he calls his uncle in Germany to talk to them does he calm down. Only when I hold him to me and play with his hair, whispering, something good, does he relax and finally falls back asleep on my chest. And while cough has disappeared from my life like a fever dream, the nightmares have picked up where he left off. Their poison paralyzes me and I'm trapped in my mind, screaming. At times, it takes Keenan a while to wake me to convince me I'm really here, but his arms are always there to hold me steady, to bring me back. Keenan laces his fingers through mine and kisses the side of my head. We promised we'd talk to each other, Sheeta. I turned to him, eyes softening. We did. And when we don't know how to find the words, we have others to help us. A quiet room with a sympathetic woman looking at us over her round glasses. She smiles kindly, and the way her eyes twinkle reminds me of Noor. When the conversation becomes difficult, all I need to do to ease the heaviness is remember the way she used to say, therapy. As soon as Keenan and I settled in Berlin with his aunt and uncle, the shock of what we went through slowly melted into a pain that became more difficult to talk about with each passing day. Layla, Mama, and Baba are buried in Homs. For a while I forgot how to breathe through the agony over Hamza's life in Syria. I absently touched the scar on my neck. While the one at the back of my head is covered by my hair, this one isn't easy to ignore. Looks like a choker, and when my thoughts become dark I can almost feel it tightening around my throat. Keenan looks at it, realization creasing in his eyes. He sets his mug down before lowering his head to kiss the scar. I link my arms around his shoulders, hugging him close. Any plans today? I murmur. He breaks away, cheeks pink. I'm meeting Tariq to make sure everything's going okay with our university acceptance. Of all the futures I envisioned for us, living and attending university in Toronto was not one of them. He grins. Not a bad plot twist. It's all been made possible by one of Hamza's friends. Shortly before the revolution started, one of his close high school friends moved to Canada to study medicine. Now a Canadian citizen, he offered to sponsor our move to Toronto. Help us continue our education, find jobs, and live a good, safe life. We connected after I revived my Facebook account in Berlin, where distant family and friends extended all sorts of help. When Tariq reached out, Keenan and I sat down and studied it from all angles. We know more English than German. In terms of animation, Canada has more options, and I instantly fell in love with the university's pharmacy program. Yusuf and Lama were adapting well to their German schools and life, their aunt and uncle stepping in like they were their own children. It would just be Keenan and me leaving. For now. We're too young to care for two children. And I know it breaks Keenan's heart every single day to be apart from them. But being a refugee limits our options, and I also know that our situation is far better than so many other Syrian families because we have Keenan's aunt and uncle. Families with no relatives living in diaspora are usually torn apart, scattered over a few countries depending on which accepts them. Keenan hasn't changed his phone's lock screen from Lama and Yusuf, though the background is him and me. He calls them every single day and has been planning how he'll be able to fly to Germany to see them. I can't believe university starts in a week. I shake my head. I can't believe we're sitting here drinking Zurat 3 years later. I can't believe you're with me. He kisses the wedding ring on my finger, then kisses along one scar sliced into my wrist. How did I score someone so out of my league? I chuckle. You seduced me with all your Studio Ghibli facts. He grins. Miyazaki doesn't use scripts in his movies. He comes up with the dialogue as he goes along. I act all flustered, fanning myself. Oh my God. He laughs and we finish up our tea. As soon as the sun's light has engulfed the sky, we go back inside. It's a small one-bedroom apartment, but it's home. A few boxes still clutter the floor. Tariq and his friends furnished the apartment for us, and I had to hide in the bathroom to cry from gratitude for a solid 10 minutes before I could face anyone. Sprawled across the dining table are Keenan's sketchbooks, all filled with drawings of our stories. Next to them is a half-empty naif pan. The charcoal portrait he drew of me at the Brandenburg Gate is enclosed in a wooden frame hanging over the couch in the living room. The walls are a canvas for our imagination, and we've splashed the white with different shades of blue. One wall hosts Keenan's ongoing work of a map of Syria, while I etched a Nizar Kabani poem along the surface of the other because it turns out my calligraphy is better than his. It's one I saw at the revolution's anniversary protest. Every lemon will bring forth a child, and the lemons will never die out. We place the mugs in the sink, discussing the various elements of storytelling used in Princess Mononoke. I open a cupboard to take out a breakfast bar. Each cupboard is stocked to the brim with bags of rice, frika, canned hummus, and kashk. I finish up the whole bar, not even leaving a crumb, before throwing the wrapper in the trash. Keenan takes a chicken out of the freezer to let it defrost, and I find myself marveling at the fact we have a whole chicken, while Hamza doesn't. Daily, I scour Facebook and Twitter pages that post regular updates on the prisoners in the Syrian detention facilities that have been released, as well as those that have information on prisoners still inside. I look for Hamza's name until my eyes cross, but he never shows up. And in my heart, I pray he's become a martyr. I pray he's with Layla in heaven, far away from this cruel world. I glance away and feel Kenan's hand on my cheek. "Hey," he whispers, knowing what's on my mind. "It's okay." I shudder in a breath, nodding before walking into the living room. To distract myself, I contemplate whether to read a pharmaceutical book or work on a new video. After arriving in Berlin, Kenan picked up where he left off with his activism, and after a few more videos he began to garner the world's attention. I practiced my English by joining him, writing articles and making videos about what we faced in Homs. I threaded our stories together, and at first it was difficult. I'd burst into tears 5 seconds into a monologue, remembering the feel of a corpse's cold body. Kenan catches my arm, spinning me around, and I fall against his chest, surprised. "Whoa. What are you doing?" He smiles, holding up his phone. An English song I don't know croons out. "Dancing with my wife." My eyes burn. We weave distractions between the bouts of agony, reminding the other we're still here. He drops the phone on the couch beside his laptop, swaying me with the music. "I'm in my pajamas," I mumble, pressing my forehead to his collarbone. He shrugs. "So am I." He twirls a finger through a lock of my hair, now cut short to my chin. "You're beautiful in your pajamas." "So are you." He laughs. In the distance, we hear the low rumble of a plane, and I don't miss the way Kenan's hand tightens in mine for a fraction of a second. "What do you think of our new family addition?" I draw him back to me. He glances at the balcony. "We've had her for 2 months now, and we've barely seen more than a green blade." I laugh. "Lemons take time, Kenan. We're growing a tree. They need patience just like change does." He gives me a lopsided smile. "I love it when you talk about change." I giggle, and he rests his forehead on my shoulder, humming to the music. My eyes wander over his shoulder to the blue ceramic pot perched directly under the sun's rays. Seedlings have emerged through the dirt, fighting against gravity, and it reminds me of Syria. Of her strength and beauty. Of Layla's words and her spirit. Of Mama, Baba and Hamza. It reminds me that as long as the lemon trees grow, hope will never die.